Mark was saying that he wishes you were playing games, and I know we talked earlier, you're glad to have the practice time.
Yeah, it's been a unique month. A Sunday game, now a Saturday game. I don't know what day that we play after Christmas. It's the least number of games. I looked it up at some point since the last time you asked the question. The least number of games that I've ever played in as a head coach in the month of December. Normally, depending upon when your bye is, sometimes you can play a lower number in February because of the days and if your bye is in February. So I do think the practice time has been good for us in many respects. Obviously, you just don't have a lot of reps, of game reps. So obviously, we can't control that, and I think our guys have handled it well.
It was the case before you got here, the way it was scheduled?
Yeah, I don't want to say anything out of sorts because my world was spinning so fast at that time. I know there were 5 players on the team, and I know that we needed to schedule 5 games, but I don't exactly remember all of the 5 games. Texas was not scheduled at that time. Some were, some weren't, but I don't remember how it all played out. In the time period that there wasn't a coach, I think Justin Moore was kind of doing some things to kind of get it going in the right direction. Coach Lair, who I work for at Colorado State, who's on my staff here, he's been with us at Marquette, at Virginia Tech, and here a year each. That's been a part of his responsibility. So he was involved once he got to campus. So I don't remember how it all played out. Some of it is finals. Some of it is the MTE that we played in. So it's not a blame game in any sorts, but I don't remember exactly what was done and what wasn't done.
Mark mentioned getting to go home most of the guys probably getting to go home for a couple days for Christmas. Yep. How important is that for those guys to get some family time before they
Yeah, I think, obviously all of our worlds, in my opinion, spin real fast. And so to have an opportunity to be at home and not have to do something around the clock, I think will be healthy for everybody. A lot of our guys will be able to travel home by car, so some of them will probably be home late Saturday night, I guess, which that's good. And then the rest of those guys that have to catch a plane, they'll be home sometime Sunday morning. And then we'll be off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we'll start back work on Thursday. So that'll be the longest break I've ever had as a coach, to have 4 days off. And that'll be the first time I've taken off since I met you too. So it'll be good for my family too.
Are you going to take off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to. I think today's Thursday. So this is day 259 that I've been here. And I've worked 258 of those, and not to sound like Coach Gruden, but it'll be healthy to maybe eat right, sleep right, be able to see my children on consecutive days with no time restriction. I think that'll be healthy for everybody, not me. Our staff, the change in their families has been hard, so it'll be good for everybody in our program.
Will you watch basketball during that time? No.
I don't watch TV. I do watch games, but I haven't watched TV in years. Sometimes my wife will get me hooked on some sort of show, or let's watch this movie. But yeah, I haven't watched TV in a long time.
Coach, as you prepare for Oregon State, will you look at all at the game that those two played last year?
Yeah, so good question. We played on Sunday against Corpus, and so Monday was our off day this week. And then any day following a day off, we have what we call early bird. So we had early bird Tuesday morning, practice Tuesday afternoon. I didn't think it went very well, and so we had our program Christmas party Tuesday night. It was fabulous, went really well. Probably the best one, first best one for sure. So I restructured our day yesterday. I went recruiting until 4 o'clock this morning, which changed our day today. So it's on my computer to watch their game, I have looked at some of the numbers from that game. I know a lot of the personnel is different. But I want to study their game from UTSA from last night, today. I need to restudy their game from Portland State. But I will watch it before we play them, just so I can see if Coach Tinkle did anything specific to matchups and the guys that are returning on our team.
You've talked about an unusual style that they play. What makes it that way?
Yeah. Maybe the best way to say it, I anticipate that on made baskets, they will play, I'm saying this maybe in simple terms. I think on made baskets, they'll play defense the way Virginia plays. Or what I think will happen against us is on a missed basket, they'll play defense the way Virginia plays. And on a made basket, I think they'll have some level of zone pressure in the full court back to a zone in the half court that the slides are very unique. So I think on a miss, they'll play one way. On a make, they'll play a different way with some level of full court defense involved. And so it makes the game choppy, not a flow, not a rhythm, but it's a rhythm to them because that's how they want to play. And we haven't played against that sort of polar opposite defenses on the same team thus far this year.
Beyond just basketball, how impressed have you been with Jonathan Aku's just ingrainment into a new culture in the limited time he's been here?
We're asking a lot of him. And I probably, at times, and I've told his guardian this many times, I probably asked too much of him too soon. Partly because Nebo is the only one with size, but partly because I think he's going to end up being really good. You know, a lot has been thrown at him through his first semester in school, and he had no summer school, which is incredibly hard. So this summer was different because we were able to go to Costa Rica. So that's a unique summer that happens very rarely. But that he wasn't able to be here for individual workouts, that he wasn't able to be here for 1 or 2 classes each summer session, that he wasn't able to be in the weight room. I mean, he was admitted on the Friday before school started on Monday. And then, like, pack your duffel bag and hurry up and get here. You got class on Monday. That's a lot. And then I think the learning curve there's so much that goes into it. Sometimes they're probably a year or a year and a half behind developmental-wise as far as their skill. And then I just think it's a lot coming at them. And he has an incredible spirit. He's very well liked on our team, by our staff. He wants to do right. He's not scared. He wants to work. All of those things are positive. And in many respects, all of this is coming at him with an intensity at which he's heard about before, but he's never had to live. And he's handled it, how do you say, aplomb? I mean, I think he's been superb.
Do you ever get those reminders that he's not a traditional American recruit or kid that you've got in, that he's had a different upbringing and a different lifestyle?
Yeah, really, really unique upbringing. I've learned a lot from him, to be honest with you. I enjoy spending time with him. I do a deal with our freshmen once a week called freshman orientation throughout the semester. And I'm able to spend time with those kids in a non-basketball way. And so I'm able to maybe build a relationship with them in a different way. He's a sweetheart of a kid. And our players tell me that he's scared to death of me, but he really likes me. And that when I'm not around, that he's the most jovial, talkative kid there is. But when he's around me, he was raised to be very respectful to authority, very, he lives in a very narrow lane relative to me. And I don't mean any of that in an arrogant way. I just say that because I think that's how he was raised. But he has a really keen sense of humor the more you spend around him. But you have to spend some time with him before you kind of pick up on some of those, some of his ways.
Has he taken you out for Nigerian food? He was
No.
telling us about it.
Yeah, you know, we had the Christmas party on Tuesday, and
No goat? There was
again-
no goat served at the Christmas party?
no. But you know that he wore one of his robes, and I know robe is not the appropriate word, but what you and I would call a sport coat. And, you know, I've coached other Muslims, and their rhythm and their routine relative to their spirituality is the utmost importance. And that's another way of how Aku has been raised, and he is very loyal to that. But I'm such a picky eater. I'll take him to eat whatever he wants to eat. We visited him when I was at Virginia Tech as an underclassman, and then he was the first official visit when we were hired here, and that he was able to get into the 20 class just speaks to, again, in my opinion, how he was raised. I think his guardian has done a phenomenal job of continuing to pour into Jonathan the program that brought him to the United States, what that program is built on, those types of kids. He represents all of those entities very well.
With such a long break coming up, I mean, how much nicer would it make the holidays if you guys can get a win against Oregon State?
I say this maybe in the wrong tone, and it sounds like a coach. It would be miraculous to beat Oregon State and be 500 at Christmas. And I told my wife I don't need a Christmas stocking if we're able to do that. That'd be fabulous.
Wendell, did you feel like his struggles, did that move you to reduce his minutes, or is he going to be back in kind of the same role he was in?
Chuck's my favorite guy, and I tell our players that. Chuck knows that. Chuck's moms knows that. Our players know that. But he's not playing good. And if turnovers are a problem, well, whether you're my favorite or you're not my favorite, you got to sit down. And he's not what you would call a superb cover 2 defender anyway. So if you have 2 turnovers in 2 minutes and we're trying not to turn the ball over, and that's been the premise, you have to sit down. I did not go into the second half thinking that we weren't going to play him. But having said that, and not picking on Chuck because he's my favorite, we played 20 minutes in the second half, and you can argue about the opponent and we should be better, and I get all of that. We only turned the ball over 5 times, and Chuck didn't play. So good for the Aggies, not good for Chuck. But if we can only turn the ball over 5 times and a half, and remember, we started that half down 7, and it turned into down 11 twice. So if you turn the ball over 7 to 8 times in the second half, which is in essence our average, we lose that game. And we have lost some games already here, in my opinion, that you don't want to lose. But thus far, we haven't lost a guarantee game. And so you don't want to do that, and you can't turn the ball over at the rate we are, and it just played out that way. And so I cheer for Chuck. He was the most positive coach on the bench in the second half. He was the most positive coach on Tuesday when we worked, yesterday when we worked. It's how he is raised. And he's going to be very successful no matter what he does, but he was not good in the first half. That whole group was not good when we subbed them in. And so it's just the way it went. And I think whether your name is Chuck or not, if you're turning the ball over at a high rate, I've got to turn your water off at some point, you know? Savion leads our team in turnovers, and JJ's right behind him, and Chuck's right behind him. Well, those 3 guys, those 3 positions are going to handle the ball a lot. We need them to quit turning the ball over and maybe removing one. And I've told Save and Jay the same thing. Like, you can't average a turnover per 4 minutes. You can't, no matter what level you're at, and also no matter how old you are. It doesn't translate not to winning. It doesn't translate to even giving yourself a chance to win. And I think that's the step that we need to take. I know that's not necessarily the right thing to say publicly. Aggies don't need to beat Aggies. Let's do that first. Let's win that game. Aggies don't beat Aggies. Okay, well, if you turn the ball over and pick a sport at Texas A&M, you're preventing yourself a chance to win. We go in the meeting rooms the other day over at the Bright, and all of those whiteboard stats, our words, that football tracks, all of them have to do with turnovers, offense, defense, special teams. Yeah, because we want the ball. And so we need to not beat ourselves, and we beat ourselves too often in turning the ball over at the rate we've been.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas, guys. Yes, sir. Thank you.